I would like to welcome Ms. Candace Johnson. EBAN is a European Business Angels Network, and Candace is the president of EBAN. EBAN was my first stop when I decided to go out of Croatia to go internationally with my social impact investment hub, where I had small promising projects. And it is on the EBAN conference where I also met Bibers, and then when I discovered the WBAF. But more importantly, it was through it was EBAN who always understood and supported impact. There is an impact community in EBAN, and there is a president of EBAN Impact is Ms. Hedda Parson-Müller. She was here yesterday. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here to give the opening speech, which is always an impressive and inspiring one, but she did it in a Take Invest. But I'm sure Candace, as in the first line an impact entrepreneur and then also impact business angel, impact investor, and so on, will do it now in the address to you. Please, Candace, and welcome.
Thank you, Renata, and thank you for being such an important part of not only EBAN and WBAF, but the whole impact investment community that we are building globally. I would like to speak to all of you and to inspire you to think big and to not so much have dreams, but rather visions that you can realize. I'm always a little, I know that so many people talk about dreams, and that is good, but I'm always worried that the dreams will just stay the dreams, and that we need to have visions. And we need to have visions to solve problems. And, I never even knew that I was an entrepreneur. I never knew that I was actually even a social entrepreneur. And that all of my life. And the reason that I did not know that I was an entrepreneur, or that I was a social entrepreneur, was I just saw problems and I said, oh, why don't we do this to solve that problem? And that was always the impetus for me creating a number of companies. So when I first started my first company was Concerts on the Canal in Washington, D.C. And I had this idea, I have 5 degrees in music. Not that many people know this. And so, I had an idea to bring classical music to everybody, to give access to classical music. And so I said, okay, where should I go and give these concerts? And I went, somebody's speaking, if you could just maybe be a little bit quiet, it's hard for me to think, sorry. I said, okay, well, where will I give these concerts? I will give them in the ghetto of Washington, D.C., on the canal, so that everybody can come and have these free concerts. And it just so happened that the foundry that I found on this canal belonged to Mobil Oil. And I had to get permission from Mobil Oil to do these concerts. And so they took one look at me. I was 24 years old. I had hair down to here. And I said, well, I'm going to be bringing classical music to people. Well, they said, okay, not only can you use our foundry for these concerts, free concerts, we'll put them on national television. and tell everybody that Mobil Oil is sponsoring them. Because, of course, they wanted to show, this was in 1976, they wanted to show, the United States Congress that Mobil Oil was doing something great. So this was my first impact entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship. My second one, and it's always about giving access. So my second one was my husband's country, Luxembourg, was having a problem. They were having a steel problem, a finance problem, and a broadcast problem. All of the companies that they had founded in their country were being taken over by larger countries. Luxembourg is very small. So here again, I go, well, I have to help my husband. I have to help his country. And so in 1982, we got married in 1981. This is what I thought wives were supposed to do, by the way. I didn't know how to be a wife, but I was trying to figure it out. So, okay, I have to help my husband's country. So I thought, if they had a satellite system from Luxembourg, this would be a new pillar. And it would give access to television, freedom of choice to citizens around Europe. And that the French would be able to see the German television, the Italians would be able to see the UK, etc. This was not possible in 1982. But I didn't know that. So I went around and I started what became the world's largest satellite system, Astra, SES, Société Européenne des Satellites. Now, was I trying to make money? Was I trying to break monopolies, all of which I did? No. I was trying to bring about a better world for people. I was trying to bring about freedom of choice. And you know what? I did. And when, I always judge everything's by happy days. People were talking about measurements, and now, today, they actually have a measurement for happy countries. Well, I've always had, my measurement is a happy day. It's when I have achieved what I set out to do. And so my happy day with the Astra television was when the wall fell down and everybody could receive television and have cultural exchanges between the East and the West. That was an amazingly happy day. And then I said, well, when I was doing my fourth company, so my third company was Teleport Europe. And so I said, we have exchange between citizens, but corporations need to build European corporations. They cannot just build national corporations. And so another thing, always try to find the person or the company that is going to help you. And never ever think that they will not help you. So I went to the governor of Lower Saxony in Hanover. And I said, you are now, the wall had fallen down. And I said, you are now in the center of Europe. You must start a telecommunications company that will serve companies to be able to build European companies, not national companies, not Western European companies, but European companies. He said to me, okay, what do you need? By this time, I'm about 35. I said, well, I need land, I need a license, and I need money. He sent his finance minister the next day to me, and he says, Gerhard Schröder, who became the Chancellor of Germany, says that I'm supposed to give you everything you want. I said, fine. And so we built, literally in 9 months, we built Teleport Europe, which was linking satellites and fiber, and we did it on the fairgrounds of the CeBIT, which is one of the largest fairs in the world. And Gerhard Schröder, even when he became chancellor, he always remembered me for having helped him get elected. My husband, who was from the other party, didn't like this. But anyway, so, but here again, I wasn't out to make money. And by the way, I couldn't take any money anyway for any of these things because my husband's a diplomat. And in my family, we grew up and we were told my dad was in the Air Force and worked at the White House. And so we never were able to take any money from anybody. We were not able to go to lovely parties. We were not able to have nice gifts. And this continued when my husband was a diplomat. But what happened was that, I went to the Czech Republic. There were parking spots, places. And we just put a satellite there, and people could come and order their car. This is 1990. Order their car, and the next day, the car came for Renault. Now that's pretty cool. That was pretty cool. So then, in doing that company, I learned about the internet protocol. And I said, this is the most beautiful enabling technology in the world. You can do video, you can do text, you can do voice, you can do everything. Now, none of this was allowed at that time. You were not allowed to do any of this stuff for citizens. For corporations, you were, but not for citizens. So I said, why are we just keeping this technology here? We need to bring it out so that mothers, this was my idea for my third company, Europe Online. And my goal for Europe Online, the world's first internet-based online service. Beforehand, they were using a technology called X.25. This was the first internet-based online service. I said, I want mothers to be able to talk with mothers. Now, technically, this was possible already then. This is 1993. Today, actually, it's kind of finally happened where, you can put on the headphones with a Google and you can speak Chinese and the other person can speak Turkish and everybody understand each other. So it is always the vision and the solution that you are bringing to the world. And it really doesn't have anything to do about entrepreneurship in a way. It just has to do with you saying, I am going to make a change, and I am going to make certain that it happens. I will close with just saying a few things. When I was able to reach a time in my life where I could give back, and I don't really think it's a question of giving back. I think it's just the next kind of chapter and the next stage. My greatest joy has been to do things with women because it's so much fun, and also because the communication is so immediate and so pure. And so in 1992, I started the Global Telecom Women's Network. We're celebrating our 26th anniversary at the Hall of Mirrors in the Opera Liceu of Barcelona next week at the Mobile World Congress. This is a fantastic group of presidents and CEOs and vice presidents of telco companies around the world. It's just amazing. It is the most prestigious invitation that men die for. I started 5 years ago the Global Board Ready Women. So working with Vivian Reding, at that time the Vice President of the European Commission, to get more women on boards. So you can go to globalboardreadywomen.org. We started at EBAN, we started Rising Tide Europe, and we're now starting Rising Tide Africa. So here again, it's only women. And we have invested already, we raised our first fund, we're investing in 1 million euros. We raised that, we invested in 8 companies, which we think are gonna be fantastic. We're doing our second and our third funds. And by the way, we have some fabulous Turkish LPs in that fund. I started ONSAT, Oceania Women's Network Satellite. So I got all of the women together in the Pacific, from Tuvalu, from Papua New Guinea, from New Zealand, from Cook Islands, and we have our own satellite. Yep. The World Bank didn't believe it, but we put the money together. We have $550 million worth of contracts from governments. We're bringing high-speed throughput internet to those islands. It's a group of women, and they're also doing the business on the ground. And also just recently, I started this Middle East Arab Raspberry Pi group in Lebanon to help the Syrian refugees. All of these things I started because I thought it was important to make a change. That's what you can do with either impact entrepreneurship or impact investing. And I wish all of you to have big solutions for big problems and make it happen. Thank you.